Hello world, it is I, the Mystic Philosopher, and of course, you are now tuned to the right number, with the Mystic Philosopher. Let me also welcome you to another of my video presentations in the series titled The Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell. This presentation is titled A Police Officer Killed a Black Youth, True or False? And hopefully by the end of this presentation, if you haven't done so before or while listening my other presentations, you will get a better understanding as to why this is a series. The series of my presentations, or all my presentations, are part of a series called The Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell. So this presentation today is my second video, or is the second video that I'm doing as my personal response and reaction to the now famous non-indictment verdict for the killing of young Michael Brown by the police officer Darren Wilson over there in Ferguson in the United States. In this video presentation, I will be calling upon my people to allow their intellect to override their emotions and see if there is anything that they can learn from what I will be saying, or anything that makes sense, if they can learn anything or anything that makes sense to them and that they can immediately employ in their lives as we all seek to overcome the fear of being the next victim at the hands of the Black Caucasians and their black force and forces. But first, if this is the first time that you are listening or watching, or the first time that you might be watching or listening to any of my YouTube videos, I ask that you check out all the rest of my videos that are here on this my channel called The Right Number, the Mystic Philosopher. I can almost assure you that if you are seriously and honestly interested in getting another perspective on many topics or subjects that some people in their ignorance and others knowingly and deceptively called controversial, some of which you might have just taken for granted, things that you might have just accepted as truth, having been taught for all your life by the system and society that they are true, and some of which you might not even seriously thought about by yourself, then here is a channel that you want to be tuned to. You are at the right place on the right channel and at the right time with I, the Mystic Philosopher. Again, let me remind you of the topic of this presentation, this video. It's a white police officer killed a black youth, true or false? Now, my people, please pause for a moment and let us reason together and understand this very basic, common sense and indisputable fact that as long as we, the natural native earthly humans, as long as we, the highly melanin or the highly carbon skin and the earth's organic people as long as we continue to believe and accept as truth our enemies' diabolic lies that we are a black people and that they are a white people, and as long as we continue to allow them to call, name, label, profile, list, and blacklist us as being black and as being the black people, as long as we allow them to call, name, label, profile, list, and whitelist themselves as white and as the white people, then the killings, slaughtering, and extermination of our youths, of our infants, elders, and our people by the police, aka by the black force, will not only continue to plague us, but it will intensify. And why? It is because the word, the sign and symbol black in the English language, in the English and other Caucasian languages and cultures, mean and is defined as suspicious, a threat. It means and defined as threatening, without moral goodness. It means disgraceful, indicating disgrace. It means demon, devil, evil, and much more. Thus, it is a curse to be called, named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as, or to be seen, it is a curse to be seen as black. I want you to think very carefully about what I've just said. Consequently, to be seen as black, to be thought of as being black, to be called, named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as black is a very serious and deadly thing. It's a curse, and it's a very serious and deadly health hazard. To be seen as black, to be thought of as being black, to be called, named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as black is very dangerous to our physical, mental, and spiritual health, and to our survival on this, our planet and Mother Earth. To be seen as black, to be thought of as being black, to be called, named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as black is to be constantly at risk of being falsely accused, at risk of being falsely persecuted, at risk of being falsely prosecuted, at risk of being falsely arrested, falsely charged, at risk of being brutalized, at risk of being assaulted, at risk of being disbelieved, at risk of being shot, and finally, for now, to be seen and to be thought of as being black, to be called black, named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as black is to be constantly at risk of being exterminated by the real black people, the black Caucasians and their police force, aka their black force or forces, and all others, including our own people and ourselves. And I hereby challenge any one of you I hereby challenge anyone and everyone that may have the courage to listen to this video and the intellect to disagree with me on these truths to please produce a video response or even a comment in the comment section here on YouTube based on facts that will prove otherwise or prove me wrong. Our own basic common sense coupled with our practical life experiences have taught us, or at the very least, they should have taught us that the first law of nature is self-preservation. In other words, the first law of nature is the survival of self and the preservation of our own, the preservation of our genes and the preservation of our descendants. Therefore, it is in one's own nature and self-preservation interest to want to eliminate, to want to get rid of anything, get rid of everything, anyone or everyone that looks suspicious. To get rid of anything or everything, anyone or everyone that is a threat, that looks like a threat or that is threatening. It is in one's own self-preservation and survival instinct to want to eliminate or get rid of anything, everything, anyone or everyone that is without moral goodness, that is a disgrace, that is disgraceful, that is a demon, that is demonic, that is a devil, that is evil. In other words, it is in one's own survival and self-preservation instinct to want to eliminate, get rid of anything, everything, anyone or everyone that is black and that is believed to be black or that is thought of as being black, So let us not kid or deceive ourselves anymore or any longer. For if or when a police officer, especially if he or she is a black Caucasian police officer, if or when he or she sees a human or one of us, the natural native earthly human, one of us, Mother Earth's organic people of high carbon or high melanin skin, that he or she perceives in his or her mind as black, as being black, as being a black man, a black woman, a black boy, a black girl, a black child, or a black youth, then consciously or unconsciously in his or her mind, he or she, meaning the police officer, sees a threat. He or she sees and feels threatened. He or she sees someone that is suspicious. He or she sees someone that is without moral goodness. He or she sees someone that is a disgrace. He or she sees a demon. He or she sees a devil. He or she sees someone that is evil, etc. And his or her programmed instinct is to confront, is to question, is to interrogate, is to accuse, is to persecute, is to prosecute, is to arrest, is to charge, is to brutalize, is to assault, is to neutralize, is to disbelieve, is to condemn, is to shoot, and finally is to eliminate us. And if you are in any doubt, I humbly ask that you please revisit, search, and research the meanings and the definitions of the word, the sign, and the symbol black for yourselves. I also humbly ask that while doing so, while you're doing your research, your search and your research of the definition of the meanings and definitions of the word, sign, and symbol black, I humbly ask that you please search and then research the incidences of police officers' cons, of police officers' conflicts, confrontations, interrogations, accusations, persecutions, brutalizations, condemnations, assaults, shooting, false arrests, false charges, false imprisonment, and police officers' extermination of my people, the people that the Black Caucasian system named, labeled, profiled, listed, and blacklisted as black. Blacklisted as the black people. And no doubt you too may discover that the word black is the root of all the evils that are unleashed upon us by our enemies, the Black Caucasians, along with their black force and forces. So now, to the non-indictment of this Ferguson police officer. The question I ask here, why did the Black Caucasian Ferguson police officer, Darren Wilson, shot and killed young Michael Brown? Now, the answer to this question that almost everyone, including some members of the mass news media, including even the lawyers for Michael Brown's family, and many others, including some eminent legal scholars that are on television, on the major television networks, even some of the US politicians, radio talk show hosts, church and community leaders, etc. The answer to this question that they will give you, and the lie that they are consciously or unconsciously perpetuating, is that police officer Darren Wilson shot and killed Michael Brown because he was, or that he, because he is black, or he was black, and that the officer Wilson, Darren Wilson, is white. This is the answer that you will get from almost all of the above mentioned people. Should you ask them this question, they will tell you that, and most people believe that, as a result of what they heard over the media and not possibly thinking for themselves, that the reason why police officer Darren Wilson shot and killed Michael Brown, young Michael Brown, is because Michael Brown was black and he, the officer, is white. So why did the Black Caucasian Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson shot and killed Michael Brown? And I guarantee you that most, if not all, will tell you the same thing, that it is because Michael is black and the officer Darren Wilson is white. Or at the very least, they will tell you that a black teenager was shot and killed by a white police officer. This you hear on all the news, international news and elsewhere. White police officer Darren Wilson shot and killed black teenager Michael Brown, which is a lie, and a diabolic one at that. And please pay close attention. Don't jump to conclusion yet. Don't let emotion run ahead of your intellect. And the reason why there are all these riots and marches, protests, demonstrations, activism, lootings and destructions of properties, etc., that are currently going on all over the United States and even in Canada, is because the people honestly believe that Michael Brown was black or is black. Depends on how you're speaking of him in the present or in the past. And that the black Caucasian police officer, Darren Wilson, is white. And that he shot and killed an innocent and unarmed black man, or an innocent and unarmed black youth. Black, the key word here is black. And that he got away with murder for killing or murdering a black youth. But the truth is that, with the exception of the fact that he might have thus far gotten away with murder, or at the very least, he has thus far gotten away with killing young Michael Brown, he did not kill a black youth. Michael Brown, I maintain, was not black or is not black. Darren Wilson did not kill a black youth or a black man. And the truth is that thus far it seems as if only he, Darren, the police officer Darren Wilson, his lawyers, the prosecutor, his fellow officers, his closest friends, his supporters and well-wishers and advocates, along with the grand jury, know this very basic truth. And if Michael Brown was indeed black, then there is no way and under no circumstance would or should he be indicted for getting rid of that which is black. From my perspective, the black Caucasian police officer know that he killed an innocent, unarmed, and defenseless human. An innocent, unarmed, and defenseless, natural, native, earthly human. He knows that he shot and killed, if not publicly executed and exterminated, one of Mother Earth's innocent, unarmed, and defenseless organic people of high melanin or high carbon skin that he, police officer Darren Wilson, perceived as black. He perceived Michael Brown as being black. And as black, or being black, from his perception, he consciously or unconsciously thought that Michael Brown was a suspect and suspicious. He thought that Michael Brown was a threat and that he was threatening. From his perception, he thought that Michael Brown was without moral goodness. He thought that Michael Brown was a demon, a devil, an evil person. And the job and training of a police officer, especially a black Caucasian police officer, is to get rid of or to neutralize the threat, or to neutralize a threat, to get rid of the demon. His job is to get rid of or to eradicate the evil or evils. And thus poor Michael Brown did not stand a chance because of how he was perceived by the police officer. The black Caucasian police officer and killer cop, now known killer cop, Darren Wilson, according to some news report that I have read, is said to be 28 years old and 6 feet 4 inches tall and 210 pounds. While young 18-year-old Michael Brown is or was said to be 289 pounds, also 6 feet and 4 inches tall. However, According to the killer cop, the now known killer cop, Darren Wilson, the black police officer, the black Caucasian police officer, according to his own words and actions, he was afraid of being killed by the youth. And therefore, it was either he killed him or be killed by him. So of course, he took the initiative. And from his perspective, from his perception, he got rid of the evil. And for your information, the reason why he was afraid of Michael Brown was not because he was the same height as he is, because both were the same height, 6 feet 4 inches. It was not because Michael Brown was younger than he was. Michael was 18, he was 28, so 10 years his senior. It was not because Michael Brown was or may have been jaywalking as he alleged, as he, the police officer, alleged. It was not because Michael Brown did not listen to him or follow his alleged orders. It was not because Michael Brown was unarmed and may have been running off his mouth on him, and the cop felt disrespected. It was not because he knew that Michael Brown was innocent. And it definitely was not because Michael Brown was black. No. Nor can we prove that the officer, a now known killer cop, got up that morning with the desire to go kill an innocent and unarmed man, or that he rushed to that scene when he got the call with the intent to kill an innocent and unarmed person. No, it was none of that. But it is, and it was because the black Caucasian police officer, and now the known killer cop, Darren Wilson, thought that the youth was black. He thought he was in confrontation with a very large and powerful black man, and that he felt like a 5-year-old, according to his own words, holding on to a Hulk Hogan. It was because he thought that Michael Brown was a very large black man, that thus a very large and threatening man who looked like a demon, and made him fear for his life. Now, I want you to please note that all the fears that he claimed to have felt and the words that he used and express his thoughts and experience are all enveloped in the one potent and very deadly word, the word black. All the words that he used, all the expression that he expressed, he claimed to have the feelings and fears that he experienced and expressed, are all enveloped in the one word which I've already defined for you earlier. From my perspective, in his television interview, he felt and experienced no guilt or shame, no remorse, no regrets. He showed nor expressed no real or any real and believable sympathy for the parents of Michael Brown, or even as a mankind taking the life of another, even if it was accidental. He showed no remorse. He expressed no guilt. His face showed no such expression. This guy was cold. But he instead feels justified and proud in serving his black Caucasian society, in serving his black Caucasian community, in serving his black Caucasian government, in serving his black Caucasian police force, his black Caucasian church, by making what is known as a righteous kill. What he did to Michael Brown is known among them, I learned this recently, as a righteous kill. In fact, I think that it is possible that as part of his victory and celebration, he got married, which from my perspective, only a black Caucasian could do such thing under the circumstances. How can you find time to not only make love, but to be engaged in the process of starting a happy family and to live happily ever after, when you just kill a young 18-year-old man by accident or not? I have heard of instances where people that just accidentally witness other people being killed, accidentally witness or see other people die violently, and people committing suicide. By accident, they see these things. I've heard of instances where they are being traumatized for the rest of their lives, even though they had nothing to do with the people's death. I've heard one train driver who is on disability because someone threw themselves right in front of him and the train killed the person. He can't eat, he can't drink, he's suffering. I'm just witnessing something that he had no control over. But this guy, this black Caucasian police officer, Darren Wilson, seems as happy as Allah. And to his fellow black Caucasian, he has just made a righteous kill. Nothing bothered him when he was asked the question. So now you know of a fact that young Michael Brown was not black, but that he was a good young man that died in a black Caucasian society that called, named, labeled, profiled, listed and blacklisted him black, and that he died at the hand and weapon of a black Caucasian police officer that thought that he was indeed black and was deserving of the black Caucasian police officer, Darren Wilson, righteous kill. And now we know that any one of us that are called black can or will be the next victim at the hands of the black Caucasians or their black force or forces. So if at all we, the Earth's organic people, want to change the game to one that might give us at least a fairer and a fighting chance at survival in and among the races, and especially in and among the black Caucasians and their society, we must change the name and stop calling and identifying ourselves as black. Stop calling and identifying ourselves as the black people. And stop answering. We must stop answering to the name, to the title, the label, profile, etc. The black people. And also, we must stop calling our enemies and the black Caucasians white people and white police officers. For white is the opposite of black, and there is absolutely nothing that is white about them. And my people, if you are unable to acknowledge, accept, and do these simple truths, then let's just shut up, shut the hell up, and put up with what we are getting from them and their black forces. I am the Mystic Philosopher, and thanks for listening. And please stay tuned. I'll be back soon with another presentation in this series, Redemption from the Curse of the Black Spell.